Hello again. My name is Nicholas Jusom, and I help you study the bones. Hopefully, this is going to be the second section of bones that I'm going to be doing. Hopefully, I'll be getting to the third one soon. This one hopefully will also have 3 parts. So parts, I'm going to name each bone. Then I'm going to go in over the individual structures of each bone. And then I'll do a silence study like on my previous videos if you had watched those. If not, hopefully links will be available next to this one. Alright? So as you can see on the table here, we have a lot of bones. So this one may be broken up into more sections. We'll be starting with the lower girdle, the part that attaches to the legs, with the hip bones, the end of the spinal cord, I like to say. And we have the leg bones, the upper leg bone, the femur, the lower leg bones, the tibia and fibula, and the patella, the kneecap, and the foot. Alright? So we'll put all these to the side for now, out of sight. And we'll start with this bone here. This one I like to think looks like a chair. I think it would be a pretty cool chair if you were to sit on it. And why I say that is because this is basically where you sit down on. This is the end of your spine. It is right before your butt crack, pretty much, to put it bluntly. This is your sacrum and coccyx. So the part with the sacrum are these 8 holes here. This section is the sacrum. It's the seat of your body, sort of. So sacrum. This other part that kind of looks like a scorpion's tail, I think, or a rattlesnake's tail, I don't know, depending on what you're afraid of, kind of is, it's the coccyx, alright? Besides looking like a scorpion tail or rattlesnake tail, I don't have much more to say about it than that. Alright? Alright, so sacrum, coccyx. And they're pretty much attached, sort of. Alright? So now we're going to go to the next bone. The hip bone. The hip bone's connected by, this hip bone is connected by the sacrum to the other hip bone. It's also connected down here to the other hip bone, but there's a little piece of, cartilage that's right here that holds the 2 hip bones together, and usually it dissolves when a woman gives birth so that the hip bones can separate so that the baby can fit through. Alright? So now we have a general idea of where this is on the body. Alright? And one thing you can remember about the hip bone is that this is supposed to be generally your butt cheek. Okay? So this huge fan-like protrusion is your butt cheek. Alright? So that means, if we remember positions, this is anterior. Okay? So this is towards the back. Alright? Where this circle is, and where this hole is, you can cut the circle in half. This side of the circle away from the hole, or the hole, is anterior, alright? So anterior, posterior. This is posterior. So this side of the hole, this way is posterior. Forgive me for getting my 2 positions incorrect. Posterior, the back. Posterior. Hopefully you didn't cut off the video so you wouldn't catch this. Posterior. And this part's anterior, alright? Another identifying factor of this is this indent right here. Alright? This is always going to be posterior. Alright? So if you flip it over, it's still posterior over here. So this is posterior because of this thing right here. Now this is posterior because of this thing right here. And likewise the opposite is anterior. Okay? That being said, we're going to go over the structures on this wonderful hip bone. Alright, so first we have the iliac crest. Alright? Well, let's go over the section of it. This bone is sectionized into 3 sections. We have the ilium, which is the giant fan. Ilium. And a lot of things in here is going to be ilia, iliac. So as long as I'm saying ilium, it's probably going to be in this area. So the ilium is the fan. The ischium is there's 2 parts below the hole. There's this one, which kind of points out, and this one, which is kind of rounded. The rounded one is the ischium, the one that's a bit more rough. So the ischium. The one that's pointy right here, this section, is the pubic. So it's the pubic area, okay? Hopefully you know where that is. I'm not going to go into detail with it, but pubic area, alright? Alright, so now that I have established that, let's go back to the iliac crest. The iliac crest consists of the intermediate zone, the tuberculin, and the outer lip, but we don't have to know those as much, okay? So we're just going to go over the iliac crest, which is this thing right here. Alright, the top of the ilium. Okay? And now we're going to go down and we're going to do the wonderful ASIS, AIIS, PSIS, and PIIS. Alright? The A's stand for anterior, the P's stand for posterior, and hopefully by remembering that this part is posterior, so this is the posterior end, this is the anterior. The next part in these AII and all that, the next part is inferior or superior, so it's either AS or AI for anterior superior and anterior inferior, okay? Same for the P. It's either PS, which is posterior superior, or posterior inferior, okay? And the last part of all these is iliac spine. So if this is the iliac crest, these points, these 4 points are iliac spine, okay? Not quite like the scapula. Alright, so we have the posterior, notice this thing, posterior superior iliac crest, because it's higher up, it's closer to the iliac, posterior superior iliac spine, which is closer to the iliac crest. So we have posterior inferior iliac spine. So inferior, superior. Posterior superior, posterior inferior. Anterior superior, anterior inferior. Anterior superior iliac spine, anterior inferior iliac spine. Alright? I'm not going to go into those much more. I think I've beaten that dead. Alright, so we're going to go on to the acetabellum. Acetabellum is the giant hole right here. This is where the head of the femur sits in. Okay? So the femur sits right in there. Like that, okay? So acetabellum. I don't have any catchy words to go with acetabellum. Alright? And while we're down here, this is further down my list, but I'll go over it right now. The obturator foramen. The obturator foramen, if I recall correctly, is the biggest foramen in the body. It is a huge hole. Another O word. Obturator foramen. Alright? Obturator foramen, okay? Next, let me look at my list here. We have the pubic tubercle. Alright, the pubic tubercle, if you remember that this is the pubic area, then this is the pubic tubercle. This point right here. Okay? So pubic tubercle, another T word, pubic tubercle. Alright, next on our list we have the greater sciatic notch, which is that wonderful notch that I keep telling you is always posterior. Alright? The greater sciatic notch. Now, if there's a greater sciatic notch, usually they only use greater if there's a lesser sciatic notch, which there is in this case. It's right here. And it is much lesser, so this is a lesser sciatic notch. Greater sciatic notch, lesser sciatic notch, okay? Again, posterior to the acetobellum. Alright, now we have the ischial spine, which if you remember that this is the ilium, this is the ischium, then this rough spot, most of this area is smoother. This rough spot is the ischial spine, okay? And now we have the pubic arch, which is this area right here, the pubic arch. And I'm looking over my list because I'm making sure that that's it for this one. I guess so. And that is the hip bone. So that's the lower girdle of the body. We did the upper girdle on previous videos. That's the lower girdle. And these videos can only be so long, so I'm going to cut this one off here. On the next video, I will go over the femur, the tibia, the fibula, and the patella, and maybe the foot. But I may do the foot on the next video after that because the foot has quite a few markings on it too. Alright? Again, I hope that you find these helpful. They are definitely helping me. So, hope you enjoy the next one.